here is a project that has been waiting very patiently since last Christmas, and I think it's time to pull it out and give it some loving. Look, it's buried. It's been that long since I've touched it. Yes, no, I've just checked. It's definitely in there. So that's some weaving from during the year. I bought a new loom in like February. My week in the life photos waiting to be done. And look, here it is. That's binding. So I'll pull that out. In here is my Quiltmas quilt. So that's the quilt, and there should also be, there it is, the backing as well. So let's get both of those out and lay them out and take a look at what we've got. Okay, so I've got these laid out. Quilt on the right here. This is the backing that I've pieced on the left. They're definitely going to need a good press, but I would love to get this finished this Christmas. I have a bit of a plan. I'm hoping to stitch around the sashings with machine stitching and then possibly some hand quilting in the individual blocks. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I would love to make some solid progress. So my next question is batting, and because it is a seasonal quilt, I'm actually going to have my first attempt at some frankenbatting. If you're not sure what frankenbatting is, let's have a look. Okay, I'm just going to get this box down with the help of my teenager. Thank you very much, my dear, taller than me. I've brought it in here with our quilt, so let's take a look. So in here, this is my batting and stuffing box. So obviously there's a vacuum bag of my polyfill, but I've got these massive pieces of leftover batting. They're not going to be wide enough to go all the way across a quilt, but they'll go part of the way. So my plan is I'm going to lay these out, and I'm going to use two pieces, sew up the middle to create some wadding for it. Because it's a seasonal quilt, I feel like I'm going to be better just to use what I've got and have a crack at this rather than buy some brand new batting. So let's see if I can make it work. I'm just going to go super close, I think. All right, let's lay it out. So width-wise, that covers almost 2/3. So that's huge. It is a little bit yellowed, that's just from the basting spray, but like that covers 2/3 of that quilt, plus there's still stacks left. So this is why I kept it and didn't want to throw it away. So I'm going to cut this off down the bottom and see if I can make this bit fit up there, because I know it's the exact same batting. Let's see. Cutting it up nice and high so I don't cut that backing underneath. That's going to work beautifully with those two pieces. And so then what I'm just going to do is I'll just take them to my sewing machine now, and just going to butt one up against the other, a nice big zigzag up the end. So come join me at the machine and let's put it together. So you can see I'm out in the schoolroom because I've just got a little bit more space than in my craft room, and I don't want to take over the entire dining room. You can see the stockings from my tour in the background there. And so all I'm doing here is just sewing along. So I'm just going to butt those two edges up against each other. I have a really wide stitch, a zigzag stitch you can see there. I'm sewing with a Janome Memory Craft 8200 QCP. I'm using stitch 11 on that machine, and yeah, I've kept it at the standard stitch length of 1.5. And then I do have the width set to 9, and so that's going nice and wide to catch both sides. So I've got my walking foot to keep it going through. I have to confess, I am having so many doubts about quilting this in December again, because I'm sweltering already just sewing the batting together. line of stitching. Obviously I wasn't too fussy about my thread colour. So now let's lay out the quilt top and check that it fits. Oh man, that fits so well, including stacks left over. So I won't bother keeping the sides, but once I'm done basting and trimming, I will definitely cut that off. I'll add this end here back to my batting box, and that can be used for another project, and I'm really excited to be able to now go ahead and quilt this without spending any more money. I will say I'm having regrets though. I've just sewn this together, obviously down there with the two pieces. It is the 10th of December, which here in Australia is summer. We're like, what, a week and a half from the longest day. I'm sweltering. Oh my goodness. It might have been a mistake to include this on my list. I'm thinking it's just so hot, and it's been really humid this week. I think there's a storm coming tonight. So we'll see. I would love to kind of get it together and at least get the sashing quilted, and then maybe even get the binding attached, and then I can always hand quilt it later come winter, but at least then it's together and bound, and that will feel like a finish. So that could be my plan of attack. I think in the morning, in the cool, I'm going to throw open the doors and get it basted tomorrow. That's my plan. If I can decide if I'm going to go ahead and quilt it. Obviously I won't baste it if I decide not to quilt it, but I also don't really want to leave it for another 12 months. There's definitely getting some lines in it where it's been in storage and stuff. Maybe that's what I do. Maybe I baste, quilt the sashing, add the binding, and call that close enough. I'd love to know your thoughts. Drop me a comment. Tell me what you do. Would you swelter through the quilting or just put it away? It's a hard decision. I might leave it out here for now, which is going to be annoying, but it helps me to make decisions when I can see the project that I'm working on. So I might leave it out, walk past it a few times, make a decision tonight, and then possibly baste first thing in the morning. As you can see from the yellow, I use spray basting, just a can of 505 that I get from the local quilt shop. I've got a fresh can out there because I used my last can in May when I made a quilt for a friend. So it won't take long to do. So I'll think of it. I'll be back tomorrow to tell you what I decide. Hope you've enjoyed day 10. Thanks for joining me in my sewing room today.